Okay, alrighty then. There we go. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are live over on YouTube. I have got everything set up as it should be for now. So, ladies, gentlemen, the big news of the day. Big news of the day is, of course, that Electronic Arts has agreed to go private in a $55 billion deal with a group of investors. Now, this group of investors is made up of the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Group, which is rolling over its existing 9.9% stake in the company. Silver Lake, which we will get into them later because they're interesting, and Affinity Partners. This is being backed by, I believe, JP Morgan and Chase for the loan, and it's gonna be a fucking shitload. The transaction is valued at approximately $55 billion. This guy, ye old Andrew Wilson, is remaining as CEO and chairman, and he does the usual corporate platitudes here of, our creative and passionate teams at EA have delivered extraordinary experiences for hundreds of millions of fans, built some of the world's most iconic IPs, and created significant value for our business. The moment is a powerful recognition of their remarkable work. Well, it's going to be more of a recognition of your remarkably inflated paycheck, but, you know, we won't go too far into that. Looking ahead, we will continue to push the boundaries of entertainment, sports, and technology. Unlocking new opportunities together with our partners, we will create transformative experiences to inspire new generations to come. I am more energized than ever about the future we are building. Now, if I remember correctly, he has an Australian accent, but I don't think I can do that properly. So, the big news here. The big news is this is coming basically a couple days before Battlefield 6 launches. And already there are heads exploding on Blue Sky and elsewhere, because a lot of the people connected to EA are very, very angry that Saudi Arabia is getting such a large chunk of the company. Which is interesting, I will admit. Now, I have my own personal problems with that. I don't like the Saudis particularly over much, but yes, they're gathering a rather large stake in EA. Basically, they're getting, I assume, a third of the company since they're one of the 3 companies listed. Could be less than that, could be more, who knows. But for now, the parties involved. So the parties involved in this are PIF, the Saudi primary investment firm for their country. We have Silver Lake, which is a very, very big, very influential investment firm that has its fingers in everything from Alibaba to Airbnb to AMC to just, they have a lot here. Like, you scroll down here, it looks like one of those 90s kids posters of crappy metal bands they have up on the wall. It's just, there's a ton just going right down the line here. They have their hands in everything from Dell to Airbnb. They have a ton here. Hail, bend over. Hail, good sir. So yes, that is one of the primary partners. Well, 2 currently. And then we have Affinity Partners, which is what is drawing a lot of ire from people for some reason because it's owned by Jared Kushner. Well, run, or at least partially co-owned by Jared Kushner, who is, as we all know, Donald Trump's son-in-law and interesting individual. No, I think Aaron Hale should be there, Ben. No, he's probably lurking for the moment. Nope, we got the usual. Hello, folks. How you doing? This is the new not podcast we're doing. But yes, we have a ton here. Hail, Monochrome. How you doing, brother? Good to see ya. Good to see ya. So, I guess we should start with the purpose. About us. So, well, since it's Saudi Arabia, at least the rainbow nonsense won't be as prevalent as much. We're going to get into that, Rez, because that leads to some very interesting stuff. Had some audio issues, but I got it figured out. Good. Good there, Airedale. Good. So here's the thing. This is Silver Lake. I found it earlier. Focus and commitment. I think we're looking for this. We believe in, now this is your DEI buzzword right here. We believe in sustainable, inclusive growth. Sustainability and inclusivity are pretty much always the back door for DEI, ESG, that kind of thing. Diversity of perspectives and experiences so our people can drive exceptional performance as we pursue an accelerating pipeline of opportunity. Now let's go here. Portfolio. I'm looking for, where is it? I found it earlier. Silver Lake is a global technology investment firm with more than $110 billion in combined assets under management and uncommitted capital, and a team of professionals based in North America, Europe, and Asia. Yeah. By which we mostly mean India. Okay. We invest with purpose. This means partnering with our investors and management teams to build resilient businesses that create value over time. We consider responsible business practices to be in alignment with the pursuit of excellence and essential to positioning companies for long-term success. Consideration of material risks and value-enhancing opportunities through all stages of the investment process is consistent with our fiduciary responsibilities and commitments to employees, customers, and communities across our portfolio. Okay, there was something I use. Okay. Maybe it was down here. No, it was not. Okay. We'll leave that here. This is Jared Kushner's one. It's more... It's very, very opaque. But basically, they're also a technology investment firm. So you got these two, which are your pretty standard US/European corporate stiffs. And then you have this, which is the Saudi Arabian government. Now, they already owned a 9-point-something stake in the company. Why is that important? Because this is Electronic Arts, Our People in an Inclusive Culture page. So let me break out my best lisping voice here. Our focus on people and an inclusive culture helps our team create games and experiences that entertain hundreds of millions of customers around the world. We believe that a global workforce with elements of diversity, such as experience, abilities, ideas, backgrounds, generations, and tenure, power our culture of learning and generate the ideas that create their immersive world, characters, stories, and communities that resonate with our global audience. I hope I'm getting the crappy homo voice right. Let's keep going. We embed inclusion in our practices throughout the employee life cycle, from how we attract talent, to how we develop and retrain talent, to how we compensate and create a sense of belonging. Belonging, boys and girls. The moment you see that in a company's mission statement, you know you're in for some good shit. We regularly review our people programs and practice with an aim to keep them free from bias. We strive to create a work environment in which employees can do their best work. When heretical nerd gets infected by pink kryptonite. Yes, that is what we're rather going for at the moment. From our regular engagement efforts to the ways in which we build trust that employees can raise workplace concerns, to how we are evolving to meet the needs of our globally distributed workforce, we're working together to support our people and deliver on our business goals. I'm just trying to basically copy the lisping effeminate Krogans from Mass Effect Andromeda. We engage, listen, and respond to our employees throughout their journey with us. We deploy semi-annual engagements and annual manager satisfaction surveys. Conduct quarterly performance and development conversations between managers and employees, and leverage internal data to promote and measure employee engagement, organizational health, and manager effectiveness. Excuse me, gotta go reboot the nerd. Absolutely fabulous, Bendover. Good God. Somebody fucking gag me. Jesus Christ. Our talent development strategies are aligned with our vision to lead the future of interactive entertainment, and we know that skill development and career growth are important to our people, so we empower both employees and managers too, and people managers. Why you just gotta say fucking people managers? They're literally... This word is redundant. This word is redundant here. I want to drop the N-word so bad. Jesus Christ. And pursue learning, whether related to specific technical skills, leadership, inclusion, or other job-specific and general training. EA's Learn, our learning engagement system, provides online resources with leading industry vendors and proprietary learning materials. We're proud that our employees logged over 440,000 hours. What the fuck? Jesus Christ, man. 440,000 hours. 440,000. Dude, you could spend that time developing games or advertising games or fucking, I don't know, building another fucking studio. But 440,000 hours in online learning? In basically online HR courses. Jesus Christ. Online learning platforms last years that were evolving for the future. Our recently launched AI Hub offers technical and non-technical training. I could give you the pass, but it'll cost you. Yeah. Look, Rez, I'm nearly broke right now. Not yet. I actually did get paid. An education to enhance our employees' skills and understanding of artificial intelligence. Not gotta brainwash the troops. That's probably what it is. One of the many ways we create welcoming community. One of the many ways we create a welcoming community is through our employee resource groups, ERGs, boys and girls. If you ever want to understand exactly how DEI and ESG and all of this really corrupts a company, look for this particular acronym. If you see ERGs in a company, it's probably got commie propaganda in there somewhere. ERGs are open to all and help foster a culture of inclusion, belonging, and allyships at Electronic Arts. Allyships. Now that is some proper bridge-like wording right there. Through the ERGs, we celebrate our communities all year round with inclusive experiences focused on cultural celebrations, professional development, and social impact initiatives. So, we got ABLE, Accessibility Group and Allies. We have Aspire. Jesus Christ, communists do love their fucking acronyms. Aspire, Asian, Native, Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Group and Allies. Oh my god, they're doing the checkboxes, chat. I was told no one does this in the gaming industry. I was told that the gaming industry has no biases against white people. I was told that it was just, you know, where everyone got on nothing but pure and unrestrained talent. That there was nothing in the way of, well, you know, bias against straight white people at all. God forbid you're a straight white man. Before learning about artificial intelligence, they should try finding regular intelligence first. Literally the checkboxes. It is. So we got Aspire, Asian, Native, Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Group and Allies. We got Beat, African American, Black Group and Allies. Oh, that's a fun one. Multiculturalism Group and Allies, Mosaic. Yeah, so no communist or progressive leanings at this company at all. Pride, LGBTQ plus Group and Allies. Somos, EA, Hispanic and Latinx Group and Allies. Oh boy. I know a Latino guy who would get really fucking pissed at that. Women's Ultimate Team, what? As in, what are they actually working on? Women's Group and Allies. God, you've always got the allies tacked onto the end there. You know, I'm curious. I wonder if Bridge is involved in this at all. Like, I'm honestly curious. Benefits and rewards. Electronic Arts provides benefits and rewards package customized to local markets to support the physical, mental, and financial well-being of our people. We listen to feedback on what our people need to feel motivated to do their best work and ensure our programs address the needs of our diverse global workforce. I remember Mass Effect Andromeda 2, where they had to patch the lighter shades in. God. Oh, boy. Aerodale Red Phelan, which was Rez. Aerodale Red Phelan. Beat, because black people like rhythm and stuff, right? You're gonna get me fucking banned off YouTube, bro. Aerodale Red Phelan. The pander is strong with this bunch. Yeah, this is literally Electronic Arts. So before everyone, you know, waves their hands in the air and is like, this company right here, this company is going to boot all of its well, DEI leanings out into the ether. Please remember that this is the same company that has all of this, and that the Saudis already had a stake in the company. Now, we can argue that wasn't enough of a controlling interest to matter, but still, they did have a stake in the company, and all of this right here was still going on. Our commitments to pay equity, building diverse teams, and creating a healthy and inclusive culture includes a focus on compensating our employees fairly based on the work they do. To us, pay equity means that our employees are paid equitably for their work, regardless of their gender, race, ethnicity, or other characteristics. Okay, so what they mean is if you're white, you're not getting a raise. Got it. To their or other characteristics not relevant to their role or performance in it. During FY, fiscal year 24, our programs and processes have enabled us to maintain base pay equity globally based on gender and race ethnicity in the United States. Whoa, 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 hold on here. Hold on. Hold on there. Are they saying they adjusted how much people were paid based on gender and race? Because if I'm reading through the legalese here properly, and the lawyers speak, during fiscal year 24, our programs and processes have enabled us to maintain base pay equity, which is not the same as equality, chat. Equity is not the same. So equality is, where's my MS Paint? I need my MS Paint for this, okay? Okay. Equality is you have Bob, okay? Bob. Mind the, don't pay any attention to that. Bob, okay, Bob here. Okay. Got Bob. Okay, Bob. And we're gonna build another one. We're gonna call it, I don't know. I wanna come up with the most like stereotypical name possible, but we'll try to avoid that, okay? Less than 10% means they had no board representation and no veto power. True. However, that is supposed to change with this new one, as they're bankrolling a significant enough portion to be mentioned, which means they'll probably have, I suspect they're gonna do thirds, or go in at thirds, or somewhere around that with this company. Because there's 3 parties mentioned. Equality, equal opportunities. Equity, artificially forced equal outcomes, okay? Let's just go with Joe, because Joe, you know, okay? And instead of making, you know, Bob and Joe the same height, they're gonna cut off Bob's legs, like, right here, so that him and Joe get to see the same amount over the fence right here, okay? We'll pretend this is a fence I just put down, you know, okay? So they're both gonna get stuck down here, and then they're both gonna be, you know, stuck underneath, not able to look over the fence. That's basically what equity is. No, I don't want to save my work. Don't worry about it. Okay. So that's what they're doing. So apparently they've already been doing the whole changing how much people are paid based upon this, supposedly. Because that's what that reads like to me. Now, I'm not a lawyer, chat. That could not mean that at all. That could just mean that they, you know, they have been paying people exactly the same, totally, for realsies, but they use the word equity and not equality, and the two are very, very different things. So that was one of the things I wanted to bring up, because you've had all these people, including people on the staff of BioWare, or used to be part of the staff of BioWare, bitching and moaning, because, and well, this is from IGN, but we'll go to the original post, because they're afraid that because the Saudis are involved, and I quote here, YouTube, this is not me saying this, gay stuff is out. Okay? So we should go here. Paying differently based on race, ethnicity, or gender is illegal in the United States. It is illegal. It is very, very illegal. So we got Blue Sky up here. So former BioWare employee here. Buyers. So your games are guns and football, yes? EA. Yes, mostly guns and football. Yep. Buyers. No gay stuff. No politics we're not going to like. EA. Ha, definitely not. Hey, could you give me 1 sec? I just need to shut down a studio real quick. It's afraid, chat. It's afraid. They're afraid that because of this particular group's involvement that they're gonna basically convince. Fuck, I can't make that joke on YouTube. Damn it, I was gonna make a really funny joke and steal from Mr. Medicare here, but I can't. The fact that they have stated they paid people based on those factors means they have a major lawsuit opportunity opening. Yes. That is concerning. Very, very concerning, if I were them. But because they're involved with all of this, we've got their little press release here on it. So, Electronic Arts, a global leader in interactive entertainment, today announced that it has entered into a definitive agreement to be acquired by an investor consortium comprised of PIF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners in an all-cash transaction that values EA at an enterprise value of approximately $55 billion. The transaction positions EA to accelerate the innovation and growth to build the future of entertainment. PIF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners bring deep sector experience, committed capital, and global portfolios with networks across gaming, entertainment, and sports that offer unique possibilities for EA to blend physical and digital experiences, enhance fan engagement, and create new growth opportunities. The transaction is expected to close in Q1 of fiscal year 27 and is subject to customary closing conditions, including receipt of required regulatory approvals and approval by EA stockholders. So they still have to get, get people to not chimp out too hard. This was the one I was looking for. Okay. This is what I was looking for. This is EA's impact report for 2024. It's not this year's, this is last year's impact report, which is their ERG, DEI, that kind of thing. Basically, the state of the company address here. So, fiscal year 24 highlights, top 100 sustainable company from Barron's, 5-year growth trajectory for underrepresented talent in executive vice president plus and director level roles, $5.6 million and 17,300 volunteer hours invested in communities where we live, work, and play. Renewable electricity, 93% attributed to our operations. 4 new patents added to our industry-leading accessibility patent pledge, and 100% carbon neutral in North America and Europe. Carbon neutral, and it's a company that's mostly on the digital, so that means that they are probably eating a ton of energy, which means they're probably hooked into energy grids, I would assume, so X to doubt there, if we're getting real technical. And there we go. Let me find, is this the one I'm looking for? ESG materiality map. Good God. Okay. All right, chat. Former materiality assessments and ongoing engagement with our key stakeholders. For more details, see page 40. Inform our ESG approach, topic prioritization, communication, and project in our impact report. We conducted our most recent materiality assessment in 2022, which included peer and industry benchmarking reporting, framework review, and stakeholder interviews. Since the time, we have continued to engage with our stakeholders and adjusted our materiality matrix to reflect topics that are important to them and to the success of our business. We will progress our understanding with a double materiality. I can't pronounce that, chat, the way it's probably supposed to be pronounced, so I'm just going to go with what I got. Step 1, get job at EA doing literally anything. Janitor even. Step 2, draw first paycheck. Step 3, sue EA claiming that your pay was unfairly adjusted based on their own statement. Profit? Not a lawyer, so I will not give legal advice. But that seems like that's a potential possibility for someone who actually has some lawyer expertise. That would be interesting to know. Recognition. We're proud to be recognized for our efforts to create an innovative and inclusive workplace where our people can do amazing things for our players, communities, and one another. A few of our recognitions during fiscal year 2024 include World's Best Employers, America's Best Mid-Size Employers. Mid-size, they're rather large. Forbes. Okay, maybe they're not as big as Amazon, so that makes sense. And America's Most Trustworthy Companies, America's Greatest Workplaces, America's Greenest Company, that's Newsweek, Best Places to Work, Full Circle, Canada, Maxis, Ripple Effect, and Cliffhanger US. Top 100 Sustainability Companies. Equality 100 Award leader in LGBTQ plus equality human rights campaign. Best places to work for disability inclusion. Most admired companies. Fortune. Okay. Okay. Our people. Our focus on our people and culture helps our teams create games and experiences that entertain our hundreds of millions of players around the world. We have a long-standing commitment to foster healthy and inclusive teams in electronic arts. We believe that a global workforce with diversities of experiences, skills, ideas, backgrounds, generations, tenure, and culture power our culture of learning and generate the ideas that create the immersive world, character stories, and communities that resonate with our global audiences. Corporate bloviation. Lots of it. Lots of it. Which, of course, would lead me to ask the question, so y'all got any games? And that actually is a nice little segue. I'll finish reading this here, because I want to finish this right here. We won't... Oh my god. Fuck, I've got to read this too. Damn it. Okay, we'll read this first, and then after we get done with the next, like, article thingy I wanted to look at, because I want to bring this up, we'll finish this, and then we'll go down here and look at the whole fucking thing. Okay. Alrighty then. We strive to bring our diverse workplace together in a work environment where creativity thrives through new perspectives are invited and people feel valued to create a vibrant and inclusive workplace. Our actions must reinforce our commitment. We continue to invest in people, practices to attract, develop, and retain talented people who each play a part in inspiring the world we play. From how we bring talent to the company to how we help people grow their careers in interesting ways. We strive to ensure that we have fair and supportive practices that we can be proud of. Okay. So, this company very obviously has DEI and ESG close to vest. So why does this matter? So why is EA getting bought out? Like why would this conglomerate of multinational companies be interested in buying Electronic Arts? What's the motive here? Is it worth it to them? Like, could they make their money back is the big question, because they're doing this on loan, remember. At least partially. They took out a very big loan to make this happen. Well, let's take a look at the amount of franchises Electronic Arts owns. They own Battlefield, Command & Conquer, Crysis, Dead Space, Dragon Age, FIFA, Madden, Mass Effect, Titanfall, Star Wars Battlefront, Star Wars Jedi, which is the Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order games, that series, Plants vs. Zombies, Need for Speed, Mirror's Edge, Medal of Honor, for my fellow people who also had really crappy internet in the early 2000s. But they own the license to the Crysis games. They own Dead Space. They own the rights to Dragon Age. Like, they have their hands on some very big IPs that, exploited properly, content mined properly is probably the right term to use. But content mined properly could make them their money back and more. Like, they could make enough money off of the franchises they own over the next probably 2 decades, I'd say, to make their investment back if they were to properly take advantage of what they have. Because Command & Conquer was a very, very big franchise back in its day. Now, it's not now, but that's largely because all the modern games are kind of shit, and the only exception to that is the remastered collection, which supposedly was a lot better from some of what I've heard, and the fact that Command & Conquer is actually kind of getting a buff in Asia right now, because the Asian market is interested in Command & Conquer. Battlefield 6 looked good. We played it on stream. It looked interesting. It was fun. If they can keep it to that level of quality or higher, I think they could make a good amount of money on Battlefield as a franchise. And then you've got Crysis. Crysis was fairly big back in the day. It had a lot of cool concepts and ideas if it was done correctly, and they don't screw it up in some massive way. They could make a lot of money there. Dead Space is ripe for a reboot. They could tell me they were making a proper apolitical Crysis 4, and I'd throw money at them immediately. Yeah, so would I, Aaron Hale. So would I. Dragon Age. Now, if we got a proper Dragon Age, like a reboot, or, God, fucking retcon Dragon Age and Veilguard out of existence, and you could see this game doing, and this franchise do a hard resurrection. Because back in the day, in Dragon Age Origins era, this franchise looked like it would be a proper competitor to Elder Scrolls, which is pretty nuts. And if they actually resurrected it to be good, I could see it being massive. They own FIFA and Madden and a bunch of other sports games. And because they own a bunch of other sports games, that means that they have the Sports Bros, which people are like, they're gamers too. They literally just buy one game every year. They buy the yearly Madden and FIFA releases. And they're always going to buy the yearly Madden and FIFA releases. And so, yeah, the Sports Bros will buy those games and probably play them for the rest of eternity. So they've got a guaranteed cash cow here. Although, if I remember correctly, last year those didn't do as well as they have in the past. But I don't quite remember. Mass Effect had and kind of still does have massive potential because of the fact that Dragon Age, Mass Effect Andromeda was a spin-off, and thus not mainline canon. They could take this and do massive things with the Mass Effect IP if you can stone me for the pun later, chat. If they keep it not like Dragon Age the Veilguard. However, I'm still pretty sure that considering it's fucking EA we're talking about with all of this, yeah, don't count on them not having massive amounts of this right here. Would shell out for a proper new Medal of Honor too, as would I. Medal of Honor Airborne, very cool game. You should check it out and play it if you want it to, Chad. It's very, very cool. All old as shit, but it still runs kind of on modern PCs. Okay, so we should probably go back to this, because this will just help drive home the point I'm trying to make about how this company it will take a lot. Okay, it will take a lot to get this company away from DEI. Like, if they are actually planning to do that, which I have my doubts about, it is going to take a ton to nuke this out of there. So in fiscal year 24, representation of women continue to progress within our total workforce and in people leadership and technical roles.
longer-term trends slowed among certain pockets of underrepresented talent as we continue to evolve our business to align investments with our global growth and build the workforce skills to lead the future of interactive entertainment. For example, to better serve our global communities, our workforce grew outside of the US and in countries in which we are unable to gather information on race or ethnicity. We focused on identifying and nurturing talent across all elements of diversity, including genders, races, and ethnicities, as we build our workforce for the future. We will continue to evaluate and work to improve our practices and representation to create an environment where all talents can thrive and achieve their career aspirations. So we've got a table here, a whole percentage table. So we've got men 73% in overall. So 73% male, 26% female. So dude's still dominating things because, of course, you're in a fucking techie job. Okay, white 53%. Asian 22. Because, of course, God bless them. Hispanic or Latinx. Latino. I'm just going to say Latino, because Latinx seems just fucking racist. Black or African American, 4%. 2 or more races, so mixed race people, 4.4%. Native, American Indian or Alaskan Native, 0.2%. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of those folks. That's surprisingly high amount there. Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, 0.3, and undisclosed, 6.7. Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Okay, that's a little weird. But yes, they've got a whole pile here, chat. And it's basically just the usual standard text box. We have this amount of people, and we're trying to, get less of this and more of all of this. We'd like to have, they'd probably like to have less of, this too, if they could get it. Over the last 5 years, representation in historically underrepresented talent by race, ethnicity, and executive VP plus and director plus roles has grown at Electronic Arts. We believe this is a testament to our practices that foster a healthy and inclusive environment where all talent can be successful. Growth and representation at all levels facilitates a diversity of backgrounds, experience, and skills that allow us to make the immersive world, characters and stories and communities that resonate with our global audience. Yeah. We've all heard that before. But yeah, they've basically been trying to diversify their portfolio of people, which is an interesting choice. Oh God. This is fucking. Oh boy. All right. Okay, where is the one I'm looking for from here? So yes, there's a lot of concern going around in the specific groups mentioned in the aforementioned chart about the Saudi Arabian investment, because that means that this is most likely they're most likely going to cut down on all of this, is what a lot of people think. Now, I don't necessarily think that's a done deal by any stretch of the imagination, because they could do what they've done with a lot of other companies, just buy a big enough chunk of it to where they get a lot of profit. And I identify as a Martian, Bendover says. Well, I identify as an Apache attack helicopter. That doesn't make me one. Most likely what they're going to try to do is just sit back and let the profits roll in. However, they might take a more firm hand with a lot of this and try and push back on the whole LGBTQ plus kind of stuff, because it's a Muslim country, albeit a highly secular at the upper levels Muslim country that still doesn't particularly like those groups of people and has a tendency to remove them by how do I do this without getting myself kicked from YouTube? Remove them via rapid changes in roof-to-ground altitude, I think is a good way of putting it. So yeah, not a great country to be a member of this bunch in, by any stretch of the imagination. Oh God. I will actually make a channel in Discord for this, because we need to start archiving some of this crap. Learn a new word. Defenestration is a lovely word. Oh boy. But this is interesting to me for a couple of reasons, because the EA buyout is kind of a trend now in the industry with a lot of the old dinosaurs. You have EA doing this now, but let me see. Then you have companies like Tencent, which is reaching over into a lot of Western companies, or, owns them outright. See, Riot Games. They own a significant portion of Epic Games, and by extension, the Epic Game Stores. They own a significant portion of Larian. They own a significant portion of From Software, Krafton, Ubisoft. They own a lot more of Ubisoft now, from when this article was originally published. Activision Blizzard, they own a little bit. Grinding Gear Games, I think they own that outright by now. But they have influence in a ton of game studios, including Fat Shark. They have an undisclosed majority stake in the creators of Vermintide and Darktide. Funcom. Or, to translate to Zoomer speak, Window Yeet. Yes. And Discord. They have a ton of influence in the West. And you're starting to see this in companies that are from countries where the state has large amounts of power in, or if not outright ownership of, investment. With Tencent, it's the CCP, and they are directly choosing to influence Western companies and entertainment groups towards a more pro-Chi-Com sentiment. They're not just doing that through Tencent. They're also doing it with fucking NetEase, who owns Marvel Rivals, for all of you who like that. And they also bought out, I believe, fucking Ubisoft. But this is a ongoing sort of trend where these companies come in, they buy enough to bail the ailing Western company out of its financial problems. China. I can't do a good Trump impression right now. China. There we go. That's a little better. They come in and they bail out those Western companies from their problems. And then they just sit back and profit, and occasionally push certain things towards certain moves. Away from being too critical of the Chinese Communist Party, or away from being too critical of, in the case of the EA thing, Saudi Arabia, and probably the Saudis' tendencies towards certain groups and peoples. And I would imagine that's what's going to happen here. They're going to mostly sit back on their hands, mind their own business, push towards the occasional, hey, maybe you shouldn't put that gay character in that game. Maybe you should just, leave that out. It's just this once. That'd be fine. Which I'm not entirely completely against. I am someone who does not particularly approve of that kind of thing. Christian, well, that's not exactly something I like. But, however, I also believe in not trading one villain for another. And I would trust that this is a move to try and win hearts and minds, as Aradhale just put it. And that is dangerous when it is a country from the Middle East, for a lot of reasons. And I find that deeply concerning, because if you have them doing that, what else will they change? And I don't imagine it will just be, you know, oh, we remove gay characters from the next Dragon Age, or they gank the lesbian subplot from Battlefield 6's fucking campaign. I don't know. Maybe, I know Call of Duty did that. Maybe fucking Battlefield will do that too. They'll try and pull out those little offending bits, and they'll file it off to where it's more to their sensibilities. And that's concerning, because they will change other things too. And, you know, Muslim country, your character designs are probably going to have a lot less, you know, a lot less of the things I like as well. Not as much blood and boobs as I would prefer in my average Dragon Age game, so to speak. And that is a concern for us. I don't think that we in the West should be welcoming this right here, this in, as an alternative to this right here. You don't want to welcome in the one group that's trying to destroy your civilization to replace the other group that's trying to destroy your civilization. That just doesn't seem like a particularly wise idea, to me, at least. I could be wrong there. You know, you guys could correct me and be like, no, that's totally a good idea, but I don't think so. Really don't. But that's basically my thoughts on the matter. Pigs cease to exist in the world of Dragon Age. Yes. Yes, that's probably along the lines of what we're talking about here. Fuck, the goddamn memes on the side of this are fucking great. But that is one of the things that primarily concerns me right now. Chat, that's fucking funny. That's fucking funny, you gotta admit. But that is the primary concern with all of this. The bacon upgrade in Plants vs. Zombies vanishes. Yes. Yes. And that's where all of this is going, because you're seeing a lot more foreign investment into Western companies and foreign influence in Western sectors, such as NetEase, Tencent, which are getting into the Western market a lot more, and you're seeing now Saudi Arabia really dipping their feet in. And I don't like the idea of surrendering our cultural hegemony to these people. It doesn't seem like a good idea. Partially because we're not on great terms with China. We've never been on really good terms with Saudi Arabia. So, giving them our... don't forget dogs. Yes, they're not a big fan of dogs over there. Giving them access and control of our entertainment industry does not strike me as a particularly good idea. It strikes me as a fantastically bad one, in fact. Because if they start changing the stuff we don't like, they will also probably start changing the things we do like, too. If they start doing that, well, very bad things are about to happen in the games industry. You're going to see Dragon Age, you know, burkas on everyone edition. You know, Morrigan, you're never going to get a chance to see Morrigan's tits ever again. You know, that kind of thing. That's just a blatant example. But they will have access to influence over vast sectors of the Western entertainment market. Because that's a ton of franchises. That's a ton of very, very famous, very popular franchises. And if you give them access to all of this, the end results will not be pretty for us. Yeah, that would be the greatest tragedy ever imagined, Airedale. Also, what's her name from Tits McGee from freaking Mass Effect? Main character. You know the one I'm talking about, chat. Leave Morrigan alone, you bastard! Yes, they already gave her a massive Angelina Jolie breast reduction surgery in fucking Veilguard. She looks like a fucking dude in there. Now, I will give them some credit. They did make her the least dudely looking dude in there, but she still looks like a dude. But yeah, NetEase has very big influences in the West. Tencent has massive influence and large large control over the Western gaming industry now, which is only going to get bigger with the success of games like Marvel Rivals. And then you have fucking Saudi Arabia coming in, along with these gentlemen here, which is interesting. It's very, very interesting to see what they're trying to do here with all of this, because you're seeing a consolidation of the old guard of the gaming industry. You're seeing EA and Microsoft and PlayStation eating up all of the smaller stuff. Replacing bad with bad is not an improvement. That's basically what I'm trying to say and put forth here, chat. Because I don't think that this will... Whoever wins and comes out on top here, it isn't going to be us. It is not going to be the players. They will probably get very, very greedy after this. I would expect to see a lot more microtransactions in games than there would have been in the past, because they're going to have to pay this off. And that's going to be very hard to do. Very, very hard to do. Because it's a $55 billion investment. They bought out a major publisher with its hands and fingers in a lot of different pies. And so to pay that off, they'll probably do more aggressive marketing, lots of microtransactions, and they'll probably be just as censorious, just in a different direction from where they were. So I definitely wouldn't count on this. Expect probably less female characters that aren't in a fucking burqa. In the future. But this is going to expand into a lot of other stuff. And it will probably change the gaming industry for a long, long time. Loot Box Mageddon, yes. Yes, that is probably where they're headed. Because EA is a very big publisher. And a lot of people don't really know how big it is because a lot of the, a lot of the gamer audience, not the sports games audience, but the gamer audience doesn't really pay attention to, EA Sports, Madden, and, college football as much. So they're not going to notice it. But if you play games like Mass Effect or Titanfall, if you like Titanfall 2, like I did, you're going to see a lot more of it here. You're going to see a lot of those franchises probably get resurrected and brought back. Now, will that be good? Possibly. Could suck too. They could fire half the frickin' studios here because they're not producing anything of worth. But I think what you're going to see is them try to content mine the shit out of what EA owns, which is smart. It's very smart. But in the long term, it will have very large ramifications. So that's basically where I was trying to get with this. I don't think that you're going to see everything brought back, but I think you will see a lot of what they have grown to the point to where EA is a lot more of a player than it currently is. Because anyone with half a brain is going to look at the franchises they have control over that have just been sitting on the shelf for the last couple of decades, and they're going to go, why aren't we exploiting that? Like, why aren't we taking that and doing something with it? And I think that you will see a lot of franchises that were probably pretty fine in a non-molested state brought back and molested quite thoroughly until they cough up their money. But yes, that is my general thoughts. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, don't get your hopes up that this is going to improve EA over much. Remember, they're still the giant evil mega corporation, and where is the... Well, what's his name is still going to keep his job. He's not going anywhere. He's going to still be there. He's still going to be running things for the present. That may change in future. That may not change at all. But he could also, go the way of the dodo in like 5 years. Of course, he could be like Bobby Kotick and basically never retire, or, you know, be the Kathleen Kennedy of the games industry and continue to molest franchises well into his 90s. You will probably see franchises get brought back. Now, whether or not these are franchises you care about, entirely up to you. I don't know what your tastes are, as much as you probably know what mine are at this point. But I think you will probably see a lot of franchises that are basically inert or dead get brought back. This leads me to believe that there probably won't be too much changing on this front, at least immediately. If this does change, if all of this gets yoinked, look for that in the next, like, 3 years. Like, 3 years out from now. You'll probably see a lot more of this go away. Because you have ERGs embedded into the company. It's going to still be there, even if it's underground. It will probably still be there for at least 3 years. Which means you'll still have a lot of the pronoun posse in control of a lot of the projects. They'll find ways to get around it, as a lot of the bridge messages and stuff states, which we will be reading at some point on this channel, probably beginning of next month, when we do another one of these. But this is what these are the 3 companies involved: Silver Lake, PIF, and Affinity Partners. Keep an eye on a lot of the basically non-bought up major gaming publishers, because in the next couple of years, because of all of their horrifically bad decisions, you'll probably see a lot of them get eaten by large investment groups and then conglomerated from there. You'll see a lot more Activision Blizzards getting eaten by Microsoft scenarios. For now. That's not sustainable, particularly because what that means is that the pie just got smaller, and they're probably going to try and do the quadruple A studios things more and more, which will lead to a glut of subpar products, which they are still going to want to charge you $70 for, or $80 for, or $100 for. Randy, looking at you, buddy. Don't think we didn't realize that you actually did react to fan feedback there. We know you did. And that'll probably hurt us more than help us. You're going to continue to see the rise of indies because of this. Indie games are going to do very well because they're not going to be tied down by any of this. They're not going to have to worry about, putting dogs in, Space Warfighter number 2643. They're not going to have to worry about whatever game they're making having to deal with Sensoria shit, which will be a great boon to them if they're smart about it. Indie game companies, now is your time. You can eat their lunch from this if you're smart, if you're clever, and if you're careful. But yes. So, EA's getting grabbed. EA has a massive amount of all of this. I will post links to most of the important stuff, including this, in the stream articles read on Stream Chat in the Discord. Follow me over there if you would like to. Ladies and gentlemen, we are an hour in. I only wanted to go for like an hour and 45 minutes, and we're an hour in, so thank you all very much. This has been Pete, the Reticle Nerd. I think we hit everything today. It's not perfect. Probably a lot more scatterbrained than it should have been. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Pete, the Reticle Nerd, signing off. See you on Wednesday.